Hi everyone. Today I'm going to discuss on apoptosis. This apoptosis we also call them as a programmed cell death. So which is a very essential phenomena that is going to be happening in every living organism. So programmed cell death means where the cell death has been happened because of some sequential reactions. The sequential reactions we call them as an programmed. So how it is to be programmed and what different kinds of this apoptosis signaling that can be involved and their initiators and executors we are going to discuss now. In humans, the rate of cell growth and cell death is to be balanced. Then only we call them as in this is homeostasis of the tissue can be maintained. Because if you see the cell death that can be happen by the mitosis, then cell growth has to be happen by the mitosis and cell death is happen by the apoptosis. So the balancing between these cell growth and cell death is very essential to maintain the body's homeostasis. And the life cannot exist without cellular death. This is very important. If there is no death that has to be happen to the cells, then we can't imagine our life, structured life. And if you see this cell death mechanisms that can be happen in many different ways. So far around 11 different type of mechanisms that are activated for the cells death category. So in this I've given a few basic example are apoptosis, necrosis, autophagy and so on. I'm not going to list out all the 11 different varieties. Here my major focus on apoptosis and somehow I will give the basic differences between necrosis and apoptosis. And is the one who given the description of the process of programmed cell death. His name is Walter Fleming, the first person of this slide. So Walter Fleming is the one he described or he depicted the reactions of the programmed cell death. And the next one is a Sidney Brenner along with two other scientists. He received a Nobel Prize for the identifying the genes that control apoptosis. He done his work on C. elegans, right? Then, if you see the basic concepts of apoptosis and necrosis, this is very important. Why I want to be concentrate necrosis versus apoptosis? Because the clear difference we should understand. What do you mean by apoptosis? Apoptosis is which is normal as well as programmed. So what do you mean? What is the definition of this apoptosis? Is a physiological cell death. Unwanted or useless cells are eliminated during the development and other normal biological process. Whenever our body or whenever the tissue does not require certain kind of the cells, are the cells which are useless that are going to be apoptosis, and finally will go for the death. But if you compare to the necrosis means which is accidental cell death, when this accidental cell death has happened. So if the pathological cell death, we also call them as which occurs when cells are exposed to a serious physical or chemical insult. For suppose any chemical toxicity or any physical damage to the cell that can lead to the cell death, which is called them as necrotic process. Example I have given here: hypoxia, hyperthermia, and ischemia. Right? And in this slide, I am going to a little more explain the basic differences that should be present between apoptosis and necrosis. So you take any two these processes, basically the differences we classified under two major events. One is physiological events, second one is biochemical events. But here I am not going to discuss all what are physiological, what are biological, what are biochemical. Here I have given all together all these two classification reactions. All together I have classified into 6 different points. So this I will going to discuss with respect to the necrosis and apoptosis. So if you take necrosis, where cellular swelling can happen, but in a apoptosis, condensation can happen. This is completely opposite. You can see the right side of the image, where on normal cell, if it is going to be apoptosis, cell shrinkage can be happen. That we call them as a condensation. But into the necrosis, where cell swelling can happen, so the cell has to be increased its size. The second point is membranes are broken. That is in necrosis, but the membrane is intact in apoptosis, and the cellular energy, that is ATP, is depleted in necrosis, but it requires ATP for this apoptotic process. Cell lysis eliciting an inflammatory reaction. The inflammatory reaction, which is a typical characteristic of necrosis, but here cell is not lysed, which is phagocytosis. What do you mean by phagocytosis, pinocytosis? These classes which I am going to explain in the upcoming videos. And there is no tissue reaction, or there is no tissue injury has been taken place in the apoptosis. If you see the DNA fragmentation is random, or we call them as a smeared pattern. Whereas in an apoptosis, ladder-like DNA fragmentation can happen. So the last final point is, in vivo, all areas of the tissues are affected. Not only the necrosis cell, which is also leads to the killing of other surrounding cells, and finally tissue injury can be happen in necrosis. But whereas in apoptosis, that is very exclusive. Only the particular apoptotic cell that is going to be killed, but not having any kind of the side effect to the surrounding cells of that particular tissues. So here we should remember all these 6 different points in order to best differentiate between necrosis and apoptosis. Then coming to the importance. So what is the importance of this apoptosis? Right. So apoptosis, here I've given a few examples. If you see this one, the lack of apoptosis, if the apoptosis is not being taken place in the humans, this is related with the humans. Here I have given a 2 example. So if not activated apoptosis in humans, we find the webbed fingers. What do you mean by webbed fingers? During the developmental stage, webbed fingers mean that is to be, there is a connecting tissue that can be present between the fingers. This connecting tissue has to be apoptotic pathway, which has to be removed, and the fingers will get separated. But if lack of apoptosis, this will not to be separated. The condition we call them as an syndactyly, right? And the second example here I have given is, which is neuronal system development, where initially what will happen, every neuron has to be connected to its target cell. So initially the more number of neurons that can be produced with respect to its targets. So what will happen, these targets, the more than the neuronal cells when compared to the targets, those particular neurons will going for the apoptosis and will maintain 1:1 ratio in respect to the target cell as well as neuronal cell. So this is how it can be important in the humans. And you see there is an apoptotic mechanism which is also be activated in the animals. Here I have given a few examples. You can see that the embryonic mouse paw, page. This is like exactly what I explained in humans, like in webbed fingers. And if you take the frog, where the tail absorption can be because of apoptotic events. That initial stage of the frog will get the tail, that particular frog get the tail, and finally when it is to be matured, the tail has to be disappear. That is because of the apoptotic events. And even the embryonic chick foot also will have the same kind of the apoptotic events, that making to be separation of individual fingers. And you just remember this, or you just imagine the importance of apoptosis in every in human body. In every human body, this is an according to one article, 1 lakh cells are produced in every second by the mitosis, and the same number of cells die by apoptosis. This is how the tissue homeostasis can be maintained, right? Every second 1 lakh cells are produced by mitosis, and the similar 1 lakh cells are dying by the apoptosis, right? This is what the importance of apoptosis in the human body. So if you see the pathological, or if you see the pathways, what different kinds of pathways which will be involved in the cell death. So because this is a programmed cell death means definitely we should understand there will be series of events or series of cell signaling cascades that can be involved for the execution of this apoptotic events. So in this, there are two pathways which are to be very important. So you can see the first one is to be extrinsic pathway. What do you mean by extrinsic? Extrinsic pathway is nothing but the signaling events can be initiated from the outside of the apoptotic cell. We should remember this. For suppose this is an apoptotic cell. The apoptotic cell, the signaling can be initiated outside atmosphere. This is called external atmosphere. Because of external atmosphere, if the apoptotic events is activated in this particular cell, we call them as an extrinsic pathway. So this extrinsic pathway, we also call them as death receptor mediated events. Why it is death receptor mediated events, that we are going to discuss to the upcoming slides. And the second one is intrinsic pathway. What do you mean by intrinsic pathway? Where the apoptotic signaling mechanism can be generated inside the cell exclusively to the cytoplasm, right? Inside of the cell exclusive to the cytoplasm, where this intrinsic pathway signaling mechanism can be activated. So this, we also call them as a mitochondrial mediated events. Friends, we should definitely remember that mitochondrial mediated events can be related with the intrinsic pathway. Death receptor mediated events can be related with the extrinsic pathway. Now we are going to discuss in detail what is extrinsic pathways mechanism and what is intrinsic pathway mechanism, and what are the components which are involved for this pathway has to be a process, right? The first, extrinsic pathway. Extrinsic pathway required 4 different components. We should remember 4 different components should be important or should be required for this extrinsic pathway. First one is death receptor, right? Then second is death ligands. Third one is adapter proteins, and the final one is caspases. All these 4 different kinds of the components which are required for the process of extrinsic pathway of apoptosis. All right, coming to the death receptor. So what do you mean by death receptor? Death receptor is, which is a very simple, any kind of the receptor, right? You take any kind of the receptor, that particular kind of the receptor should have the 3 major parts. we should understand. For suppose this is a receptor, this receptor will have the three major parts. So one, the external part, we call them as an extracellular domain that can be present at the exterior part of the or external part of the particular cell. And the second part we call them as a transmembrane domain that can be present or that can be span in the plasma membrane. And the final part we call them as an cytosolic domain that can be present in the cytoplasm of that particular cell, right? Any kind of the receptor should have the three parts: extracellular phase, extracellular domain, transmembrane domain, and finally cytosolic domain. We should remember. So here the first one is death receptor. So that why we call them as a death receptor? Because the death receptor will have the death domain. What do you mean by death domain? Death domain is nothing but which is having the 80 amino acid. 80 amino acids will be made up of these death domains, and these death domains are important for the attracting of these adapter proteins, right? And so what are these death receptors? This we should understand when we are going into the dramatical explanation of this extrinsic pathway. So here mostly I have tried to given the all the death receptors which are involved in this extrinsic pathway. Here you just note down the list. One is Fas receptor. R stands for receptor. So this is Fas receptor. D, DR3, DR4, DR5, TNFR1. This is tumor necrosis factor receptor 1, tumor necrosis factor receptor 2. Now coming to the second component in the extrinsic pathway is death ligands. So whenever the receptor has to be activated, it has to be bound by the ligands. These ligands we call them as a respective death ligands. So here the example of death ligands are Fas, L stands for ligand, Fas ligand for the Fas receptor, APO3L for DR3, APO2L for DR4, APO2L for DR5, TNF R1 is for the TNF alpha is a ligand, and TNF receptor 2, the ligand is TNF beta. Whenever this ligand will come from the external atmosphere, and that can go and bind to the death receptor, and death receptor can be activated. And the third important component we call them as an adapter proteins. Whenever the death ligand is attached to the death receptor and this death receptor is activated, the activated death receptor is bound by the adapter proteins. These adapter proteins are two major adapter proteins. One is FADD, which is nothing but Fas associated death domain, and second one is to be TRADD. This is TNF tumor necrosis factor receptor death associated domain. So here FADD, TRADD, these are the two major adapter proteins which are involved in the extrinsic pathway to carry forward this particular signal into the at the nuclear level. And the last final important one is caspases. So here we should remember that caspases will be connecting link between the intrinsic pathway as well as the extrinsic pathway. So before we are going into the actual extrinsic pathway, we should understand about the caspases. So these are the few different characteristics that are involved for this, that are attributed to the caspases. First one, these are cystinyl aspartate specific proteases. So caspases, these are proteases, we should remember. What do you mean by protease? Protease is nothing but that can be cleaved by the proteins. So if you see the composition of these caspases, where cysteine group and aspartate amino acid will be more. And these can be present in the intracellular, that can be present in the cytoplasm. And what is the function of these caspases? That can be initiate and execution of the apoptosis. And one important thing is generally these can be produced or these can be synthesized in a cell by the inactive form. This inactive form we call them as zymogen form or proenzyme form. So this proenzyme form is inactive, that can be present in the cytoplasm whenever the active signal that can coming from this death receptors, then this caspases will be activated, right? And so far in humans, 14 different kinds of the caspases are identified. So here we are going to see a little more elaboration about these caspases. So all these caspases will be divided into majorly 3 different categories. First one is signaling or initiator caspases, where 2, 8, 9, 10 caspases are involved in this process. And the second category is effector or executionary caspases, where caspase 3, 6, 7 will be involved. And the third category is inflammatory caspases. So these inflammatory caspases are exclusively involved for the process of inflammation in the cells, where 1, 4, 5 will be involved. And the other caspases that have been identified and which has included caspase 11, 12, 13 and 14. So far not much mechanism details or detail of mechanisms we are not understood this 11, 12, 13 and 14, right? And the important thing is the connecting central link between the intrinsic and extrinsic pathway is caspase 3. So that anyway we will discuss in the coming slides, where exactly this caspase 3 is linking to these 2 pathways. And second more important pathway of the apoptotic, we call them as an intrinsic pathway. Intrinsic pathway will require some components. So these are, one thing is BCL2 family proteins, second is cytochrome C, that's what which is mitochondria mediated apoptosis, because cytochrome C will be present in cytochrome C is present in mitochondria. And third one is apoptosome, and last the fourth one is caspases. Anyway, the caspases which we already discussed in the previous slides. Then coming to the main important thing of this BCL2 family proteins. The main mechanism of action of the BCL2 family of proteins is the regulation of cytochrome C release from the mitochondria via alteration of mitochondrial membrane permeability. This anyway we will see a clear elaboration when coming to the cascade mechanism. So here we should understand the BCL2 family proteins will be divided into play the major role in the intrinsic pathway. So if you see this on intrinsic pathway, there are 2 different kinds of the proteins that will be involved. One category we call them as an anti-apoptotic proteins. Other category we call them as an pro-apoptotic proteins. So what is mean by anti-apoptotic? So these anti-apoptotic proteins will be definitely stop the process of apoptosis. But pro-apoptotic, which is completely opposite function of this anti-apoptosis. So here I have given a best example, BCL2, BCLX, MCL1, these are coming to the pro-apoptotic proteins. The best example for pro-apoptotic proteins are BAX, and you can see the down big, BAD, BMK, and these are the Puma, Noxa. These are different kinds of the pro-apoptotic proteins will be best categorized in the in the different categories, but anyway I'm not going to discuss what different kinds of the categories. If possible, I'll try to make one more class for this detailed structure of apoptotic and pro-apoptotic proteins, where exactly it is involving. And so coming to the intrinsic pathway, so this is very important. So the intrinsic pathway, we should understand that what are the different kinds of events which is to be going to be happen. So you just concentrate on this pathway, because this is important for the better understanding this all intrinsic and extrinsic pathways of apoptosis. Definitely, if you understand well this pathway, definitely you can answer any kind of the question, or you can write very neatly any kind of answers. For suppose intrinsic means which has to be generated within the cell. The signaling cascade has to be originated within the cell. So whenever the DNA damage happen to that particular cell, if this particular cell wants to go for the apoptosis, then there are few events which will be taken place that can lead to the damage of DNA. So this damage of DNA will be sensed by a pro-apoptotic protein. We call them as BACs. So the BACs will be sensed by this DNA damage, and this BACs will directly go and inserted into the mitochondrial membrane. Right? This activated BACs will go and act on the mitochondrial membrane and trying to create pores on that mitochondrial membrane. So after creating of these pores, these are all cytochromes. These cytochromes can be released into the cytoplasm. Actually, the cytochromes has to be present only the mitochondria organelle, because cytochrome is the one which is important for the electron transport chain, and finally it can helpful to the generation of ATP, which is to be cellular energy. So once the cytochrome C is released into the cytoplasm, then this can be sensed by one protein that we call them as APAF1. Right? This APAF1 protein can be sensed by the cytochrome C, which is to be roaming in the cytoplasm. So after this APAF1 will directly go and bind with the procaspase 9, and this binding of procaspase 9 and APAF1, we call them as this is apoptosome. Right? What is the composition of apoptosome? Composition of apoptosome is the APAF1 protein plus procaspase 9 protein. This apoptosome will be active after the cytochrome C is released from the mitochondria to the cytoplasm, and this can make the procaspase 9. As I initially explained, caspases are synthesized in the inactive stage. Those we call them as procaspases. So this procaspase 9 is going to be active after releasing of cytochrome C. We call them as caspase 9. So this caspase 9 will be active, and the active caspase 9 will be again act on the procaspase 3, which is again the inactive form, will convert into the active form of caspase 3. So this caspase 3 is the one which is going to be start the apoptotic events, that is cell shrinking, bubbling, and activation of the phagocytosis. These are the essential events which are going to be executed by the caspase 3. Right? Here you should remember that. So the BACs involvement, mitochondrial cytochrome C, and apoptosome importance, and finally the caspase importance. And if you see the other more pathway, that is extrinsic pathway. This pathway which I have not explained in the extrinsic that slide, because I want to be combined and to better understand these pathways, so that I put these two pathways in the single slide. So here the extrinsic pathway, the signal has to become outside. The signal coming outside, we call them as an death ligand. Death ligand, once it is to be attached to the receptor, death receptor. So there is a conformational change that can happen at the cytoplasmic phase of this death receptor, that leading to the activation of the death adapters, and the activated death adapters will bind to these death receptors. The example which I have given here is FAD and TRAD, right? After activation of the death receptor, this FAD and TRAD will be binded, right? After binding, it is making like a disc-like process, or disc-like concept. So this all together will make a disc-like complex, right? What do you mean by disc-like concept? What is the composition of disc? So you should remember that here adapter proteins can be present, and death receptors can be present, and ligands can be present. There are 3 different parts which will combinedly make disc complex. This disc complex, after formation, this can go and cleave the procaspase-8. So procaspase-8, which is inactivation. So after forming this can be cleaved into the active caspase-8. This we call them as an autocatalytic activation. So the activated caspase-8 will again go and activate the caspase-9, and from where the reactions will be proceeded, right, till end of the apoptosis. So this is how the connection link between the extrinsic and intrinsic pathway is to be caspases, especially that is caspase-8. Caspase-8 will finally make it to be active of caspase-9, and this is the central link which is going to be again activate caspase-3 and finally leads to the apoptosis. So these are the different events that are going to be happen in the intrinsic and extrinsic pathways. Coming to the final slide of this topic, how we can measure or how we can identify this apoptotic cell in the tissue. This is a biggest question that everyone had before this essay has been formulated. So now the best technique which we will use for the identification of apoptotic cell is Ternal assay, where the involvement of fluorescence, immunofluorescence can be taken place. But what are these kind of immunofluorescences and what are different kinds of the technique? We are going to do the upcoming videos, the techniques and the principles and their applications, everything. So what do you mean by Ternal assay? The Ternal assay, the name itself indicates terminal deoxy UTP, uridine triphosphate NIC-N labeling assay. The Ternal stands for terminal deoxy UTP NIC-N labeling. This can be the deoxy uridine will be incorporated into the single stranded or double stranded DNA breaks in the reaction to which it is helpful for the enzyme, that is terminal deoxynucleotide transferase, TDT, terminal deoxynucleotide transferase, which is a template independent enzyme. It does not require the template. Whenever it finds the break into the single stranded or double stranded DNA, this will go and add into the uridinated UTP, and that UTP, biotin UTP, and this UTP can be added in the 3' end of the NIC DNAs. So anyway, I am not going to be explain much or in-depth mechanism how it is to be activated. In a simple step I am trying to give here. So you can see here what are the type of reaction which is happening. For suppose this is a normal DNA. Normal DNA means which is undamaged DNA. So if you find the damaged DNA, definitely there is a break right here, and this is also a break. If there is a nick, the break we call them as a nick. If there is a nick in the DNA, that is going to be bind by this D UTP, and this DUTP is uh, uh, attached with this biotin, and the biotin again will attach it with the streptaviridin, and that streptaviridin will have the labeling. So this streptaviridin will have the labeling. This labeling streptaviridin, again we will go for the identification of that particular signal. So here you can see that this is nothing but an enzyme TDT, terminal deoxy nucleotide transferase, biotin, and streptaviridin. And this is the slide which indicates the apoptotic cells. So, which I will explain here. So, if you see this structure, this structure is related to the retina. So, the mouse retinal structure, this was done during my PhD, where I want to just check the light stress on the retina. So this green color indicates the apoptotic cells. Why it is to be on green color? Because of the fluorescence. That anyway we are not going to see, or we are not going to be in-depth mechanism. You just understand that the green color that is showed with the arrows is to be apoptotic cell, and here the blue color will be stained with the DAPI. So this is a different kind of staining which is exclusively stained with the nucleus. So this is the live cells, and these are to be apoptotic cells. So like this we can identify the apoptotic cells in the tissues. So we should remember that in the Thurnal assay, the apoptotic cell color is always to be on green color. Then, so I think this is a very lengthy video, but it might be helpful to the many students, because this is to be used big chapter and will have the different kinds of the doubts will arise in this particular chapter. So finally, before going into the close of this topic, you should remember that. So the apoptotic pathway, which is very important and which is programmed. Then second point is two pathways which are involved in this mechanism. One is intrinsic and second one is extrinsic. And the connective link between these two pathways are caspases. On caspases, especially the caspase 9 will be connected, and finally executing caspase is caspase 3. That you should also remember, and where the cytochrome C will be released, what are the pro-apoptotic proteins and anti-apoptotic proteins. This you should be note down. That is to be very important. And the final half we can assess this apoptotic cells. So that is based on the Thurnal assay. Here I am not going to give any depth of this principle which are involved in Thurnal assay, but you should remember this. This is to be important to identify the apoptotic cells. Then students, see you to the next class.